Hi Molly, it's Mrs. Jansen, and I'm excited to start a new lesson with you. I hoped you like doing the bird on a wire collage, but today we're going to, instead of doing a collage, we are going to be working on a drawing with some different material. This is an example of a pumpkin field landscape that Mr. Warner gave me to look at. Ours is not going to look exactly like this, but this gives us a good idea. We're going to have some brown paper we're going to attach to our white paper, which will be our sky, and the brown paper will be the ground. It will create what we call a horizon line where the sky meets the ground or the earth. And then we're going to put pumpkins in it. We're going to have pumpkins like this one up front. That's what we call is the foreground, and those are the ones that are really close. We have the ones in the middle section, that's called the midground, and then of course this background where we have the sky and these pumpkins that are far away. So before we get started, let's talk about the materials you're going to need. You're going to need the brown sheet of paper that I gave you. You are going to need the large white sheet of paper. You are going to need a pencil, and again, one with a nice eraser. You are going to need a glue stick. You will need the blue pastel chalks that I've given you. These are really dry and they feel like your sidewalk chalks. And then you are going to need your oil pastels. These feel a lot more like crayons, but you probably will only have the orange, yellows, and greens in your little baggie. But that's what we'll be working with today. In order to get started, we're going to have our white sheet of paper in front of us. We are going to take the brown sheet of paper, and you can see this is the long way. I'm going to turn mine around, and I'm just going to rip it in half. And when you look at mine, I want you to see how much I've ripped it. It's not even. You can see it's kind of bumpy. So I'm going to set that one to the side. And this, I don't like this pointy part because that doesn't make sense. I'm going to tear a little bit off there. And I'm going to very carefully, I'm going to bend this so I don't rip too much. And I'm going to tear just a little bit more. Okay, so this is going to be the ground that my pumpkins are going to sit on. So I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to use my glue stick. And again, I'm just going to put glue on the back, up on the edges. And then you're going to flip this over. And press it down. So the first thing, when we look at the project from before, we have the top part, which is going to be the sky, and we're going to have the bottom part, which will have the pumpkins. So we're going to do the sky last, all right? And we're going to do our pumpkin field first. Now, if you have a pumpkin at your house, a mini pumpkin or a big pumpkin, it might be nice to put it in front of you so you can kind of see its shape. I'm going to show you. Here's another one. So I've got two. One's a little bigger than the other. So you're going to take your pencil. We've got our ground pressed down. We're going to do a couple of pumpkins on what we call the foreground. Okay, so we're going to draw an outline. So we're going to draw a circle. Now I know you've talked about circles all the way back when you were in young fives. So you can see my circle, I'll hold it up, is a little bumpy. It's kind of hard to see. I have a little indent because that's where I'm going to put the stem. And I also have it, it comes off the edge of my paper, so that's okay. And I'm going to put a pumpkin next to it, so I'm going to draw another circle, and I'm going to let them overlap. And this pumpkin's going to be a little bit different shape, as you can see. Now see how we have an overlapping line? We're going to erase one of these lines so it looks like this pumpkin is behind this one. So we're going to erase this line right here. So I'm going to go in and erase that so you can see that they're overlapping. Now, these are our big pumpkins because they're up close. We're going to put some pumpkins that we want to look like they're a little farther back. So I'm going to kind of draw a line that's going to go across the ground so it looks like rows that the pumpkins are growing in. I want you to see. Again, we'll do these with the pastels. There's one line and there's another one. So farther up on our paper, so we have these ones which are really close, farther up on our paper, we're going to draw another circle. And it's okay if it comes up over. And this can be, and we'll do a couple overlapping. And I'm going to do, I'll do one over here. Okay, so you can see I've got some. And I'm going to erase these lines here. So it looks like this one is in the front. This one comes down the lowest. And so this one will look like it's in the front. So I'm going to erase. So you can see like that. And then we'll do some pumpkins way back here. Now these we want to make just a little bit smaller than these. And again, I'm going to put a couple circles in. So you can see. And we're going to erase some of these lines so we can see which one is in front. So you should just have a lot of circles, okay? And they should be the biggest up front, and in the middle they should be medium, and in the background they should be smallest. Now I might put one more pumpkin right here on the edge of my paper. I'm going to put a stem on it too, and some lines so you can see. This, it'd be like this one's right up front, so it's going to be big like this, even though I'm only going to see a small part of it. And you can put stems on all of them. You want to remember, and I like to put them in a couple different spots. This pumpkin's going to be on its side, so you can see. Now, we've just done these with pencil, and they're hard to see. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to be using our oil pastels, and you're going to pick out your oranges. So I have a light orange and a dark orange, and I'm going to also take a dark yellow. And we're going to outline the round shapes that we've drawn. And I'm going to start by outlining them first. And it might get a little hard when you're on the brown paper and the white paper. And I've got this one that's right up front. Now, when I continue to color these in, we're going to maybe put some of these lines in them too. Okay? So you're going to be able to start to see what this is going to look like. What's really good about oil pastels is that they like to blend a lot. So I used the dark orange and now I'm using the lighter orange on top of it. I've got that going on here. I put the yellow on top of it, so now you can really see how it stands out. You can use your finger to blend that a little bit if you want, and to keep coloring it. I want you to color in all of your circles with your oranges when we're on the white. So here we have the white and the brown paper. So hopefully you filled in all of your pumpkins. And the next thing we're going to do then is we're going to use the brown. Now my brown, you can see it looks light because I used it to blend other colors. But once I start drawing with it, you'll see that it actually is brown. So you're going to color in your stems. And your stems were just little lines that came out of the top. Then we're going to take that brown and we're going to outline part of our pumpkins, and we're going to put those little lines that we see in our pumpkins, we're going to put those in our circles. So you're just going to come down and add that so you can see what that looks like. Okay? Like that. The next color we're going to use are some of our greens. You should have a light green and a dark green. And we're just going to put some vines. So we're going to cross over our stems and do some of our curly Q lines. And we're going to draw a leaf for our pumpkin, and I'm going to use the dark green on top of it, part of it. And I'm going to go ahead and do those vines, part of that on the ground. You might put a couple more leaves on. So I want you to feel free to do that. Put a line across the stem. As you add lines with the different greens, light and dark, you can use your curly lines. You can draw over top of your stems and keep adding leaves as you go. And take your time. There's no rush. Just add them on top of each other and pause this video if you need to. We're going to go back to our brown. Remember those pencil lines we kind of put in real light that go across the field? We're going to go ahead and outline those. And that kind of give us a sense of the ground. And again, we have our pumpkins that are up close. Those are in the foreground. The midground, they get a little smaller. And in the background, they get smallest. When we draw like this, that means that our pumpkins look like they're going farther back. Perspective. So the last thing we're going to do is we're going to work on the sky. So you're going to put all of your pastels away. Your oil pastels, let's be clear, your oil pastels. And instead, you're going to use your blue chalk. So we're going to flip this over so we don't smear any of that. And we're going to go ahead and take our chalk on the side and we're just going to gently rub it. And it can go really close to our vines and our pumpkins, but you don't want to go over top. And you're just going to pull that up. Okay, so I have that for my light color blue. And then you're going to take your darker blue and you're going to hold it on its side again. And you're just going to do that at the top. So you can see, I'm going to turn it back around. You can see that we have our sky starting to be colored in. I'm going to reach over and I've got some paper towel and I'm just going to gently rub that on my sky. And what I want you to do is see how the color spreads. And we've got that dark too. And see how it's really smooth compared to this. So we're going to do that all the way across. I'm actually going to tap it now because there's a little extra chalk. And I'm just going to go over that with the blue, the light blue, just one more time. Oh, mine broke. That happens. And if you want, you can even use your fingers to kind of blend in a little bit of that. And then you can rub that on the paper towel. Okay, so here you have it. We have our blue sky, our horizon line where the sky meets our land, and then we have pumpkins in it. I just feel like we need a little something. I think maybe we need to put in a yellow sun. So I've taken a yellow chalk and I'll make sure to include that. And I've made a nice big ball there at the center. I just feel like maybe we needed a little something in the sky because otherwise it was a little boring. I'm going to pull some of the sun, and this is what's fun. You can pull some of that yellow out and over your sky. You can go all the way out. I'm thinking that's already looking better. So I think we'll do one more thing. We're just going to add, I want you to take your oil pastels and I want you to take the white. And we have the sun coming down and we're going to have it shining on our pumpkins. So at the top of your pumpkin where the sunlight can be, I want you to use your white, oops, and just go over the top part of your pumpkins so it looks like the light is touching them, like that. And we just want it near the top. And now you can see that we have the light reaching out from the sky and hitting our pumpkins. The last thing you need to do, and I didn't tell you to, but you can take your Sharpie and put your name in the corner. Now this corner has a pumpkin, so I can't do that. So I'm going to do it over here. All right, Molly, have fun making your pumpkin landscape. Post it on Seesaw. I look forward to seeing it.